Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting, vitally important Propagandacast for you, my wonderful viewers. And today we're having a 2 versus 2, but of course a big thanks to Reddit. Before that, they've decided to once more put me in the spotlight, not just on their own homepage and in Twitter, but also in-game news. So of course that might mean, of course, a lot more subscribers, and for all those, I welcome you. I hope you enjoy this channel. Of course, please feel free to provide as much constructive feedback as you like. I've certainly always quite appreciated, and I certainly always try to sort of slowly improve things. I can't always, sometimes, there's a bit of time trouble, but still, I do my best. I certainly appreciate all criticism, as long as, of course, it's constructive, because that's something I can actually, use for constructive purposes. So welcome one, welcome all, new and old, and what the bloody hell happened to my voice right there? That certainly sounded a bit odd. Nonetheless, a 2 versus 2 on Duclair. Yes, indeed, we shall be seeing fighting in the Duclair, and of course using the great power of imagination. Of course, it won't be, theoretically in Duclair somewhere else, because, well, otherwise there's going to be an awful lot of fighting in Duclair for no apparent reason. And of course, well, there we go. So, 2 versus 2, Duclair, or wherever we might decide it to be. Perhaps, somewhere in Holland or further away in France, featuring MalKal. Yes, indeed, or MalKal. I'm not entirely sure. Either way, name doesn't make an awful lot of sense. Fighting alongside shall be Pattonslayer, also known as Rommelslayer, and potentially also known as Monty's best friend. Yes, indeed, since Monty wasn't exactly a friend of either of those. And of course, who shall be fighting them? Well, of course, these shall be made the 107th Panzer Brigade, a bit of a curious German formation that was appearing in later in the war. I'll get briefly back to that. And fighting them shall be Luftwaffecommander, course, an American fighting for the Luftwaffe, yes. And fighting alongside shall be MG4188, Market Garden, perhaps, except with, I don't think this is Market Garden, this could perhaps be nearby. But nonetheless, fighting for the British, a combined American-British task force. Of course, there weren't actually a lot of those, but again, I have to make things up along the go. I suppose it'll be some parts of the 51st Infantry Division fighting alongside the 3rd Armoured Division of the Americans, some sort of combined group. Yes, indeed, perhaps responding to the sudden appearance of the 107th Panzer Brigade, and let us in fact get right down to it. Luftwaffecommander, and of course MalKal or MalKal, and of course Pattonslayer, aka Rommelslayer, aka Monty's best friend, although currently he's fighting for the Panzer Elite. And of course I did promise you a brief explanation of what are or who were the 107th Panzer Brigade. Lots of Panzer Grenadiers on the way for Pattonslayer, by the way. Of course, we'll have to see what comes out of MalKal, but the 107th Panzer Brigade were part of the Panzer Brigade idea, which were basically a much smaller formation, a much more independent armoured formation the Germans basically had in mind to sort of quickly rush to here and there. Of course, trouble was that unlike a Panzer Division, which was strong because it had a lot of things, the Panzer Brigade only had the tanks, of course, which are good, although they had some other things were quite tanks. They had some Panzer Grenadiers, I believe, to support them, but they didn't have all the support weapons needed. They lacked seriously in artillery and generally all those sorts of things, which actually rather in the longer term left them much more weakened and rather led them to suffering heavy losses, which then resulted in them in sort of being absorbed into different Panzer divisions to sort of make up for that. But we are seeing scorched earth right off the bat here from MalKal or MalKal, getting ready to lay down booby traps. We can see here, of course, booby traps are free to lay, and of course if you go scorched earth and you have Kettenkrats, you can lay down booby traps with your Kettenkrats. So right off the bat, immediately booby trapping these 2 points. Pattonslayer, Rommelslayer, Monty friend, whatever, asking for Brits. And of course there's always one thing you've got to figure out, and that is, oh right, there's a strategic point in either player's base. That tends to be the best indication. Oh right, there's a Brit there. Jeep under fire from the Panzer Grenadier. Kettenkrats sort of moving towards the center. Brits going to run into an incendiary surprise. How shall this go? And they move perhaps a bit too slow. And that was the world's slowest booby trap, for sure, but the Kettenkrats continue to seize territory. Minor fighting here in the north. Kettenkrat being fought away by the Jeep. Jeep under fire from Panzer Grenadiers with the Gewehr 43 equipped. Firing away at the Jeep. In the meanwhile, in the north, engineers moving in towards the other Panzer Grenadiers. And engineers are rather swiftly finding themselves short one man as he's shot in the face. Luftwaffecommander. Clearly not so Luftwaffe now, are you? Well, you never were. And Panzer Grenadiers facing off against the Brits right here in the south. Clearly they shot this cow. This was not a previously dead cow on the map. No, these heartless Britons shot it down. Yes, indeed. No, I don't know. Jeep getting away. Too many Panzer Grenadiers for it to fight. And looks like a Kampfgruppe company is already up for Pattonslayer. Rather swiftly that. I like that, in fact. And he's getting an infantry half-track. That's very nice. Kernkrauts, though, coming under fire from different parties. While, of course, securing territory. And Panzer Grenadiers taking up positions here, hoping to curtail the British advance. Keeping them at bay, although this is perhaps not the best window. Only one man can fire. Then again, if the Brits move too far out here, of course, others can fire from either windows. But, oh dear, one got sniped by the reconnaissance team. Damn you, Brits. And looks like something might be going on here. I suspect a forward barracks, no point otherwise. I'm placing them there, although generally I'd prefer keeping them up here fighting the enemy, you know. And these Panzer Grenadiers are going to get out of there. Jeep Kettenkrad on the run. Oh dear, running away or driving away. Jeep losing further bits and pieces as the Panzer Grenadiers fire away. And there we go, of course, forward barracks. Now, in fact, perhaps it was lacking the manpower. That was a bit unfortunate. And Panzer Grenadiers not joining in. Well, some are. Attacking the riflemen and ambushing them right here in the north. Others joining up in this smaller force. British are pushing forwards now under the supervision of a lieutenant or lieutenant, depending, of course, on wherever you want to be. Riflemen under heavy fire. GIs bleeding, crawling, just like in boot camp, except there's actual craps firing at them. And the lieutenant sort of macking about, not entirely keen on that. And sort of there with the Kettenkrad. Panzer Grenadiers ready in the north. Moving in to support the rest, and there we go. Leichte Schützen Panzerwagen, half-track meant for reconnaissance units, although it would also get used for regular Panzer Grenadier divisions if there simply wasn't anything there. And there we go, opening up on these troops here. Panzer Grenadiers in dire need of reinforcement. Oh dear, taking rather severe losses, in fact. And, of course, getting right into the half-track, providing a nice bit of cover right here against these evil Americans, who are, in fact, laying down a medic station. That's a good move, of course, with all that infantry about. Britons are taking a bit of loss here, but the Panzer Grenadiers are holding out steadily, although ever slowly being pushed back. And this Kettenkrad is in the wrong spot. Oh, Pattonslayer, you lost your Kettenkrad. How dreadful. And looks like the Brits are once more on the run from all these Panzer Grenadiers with Gewehr for the fleet, but now the Americans are making a charge. Half-track needs to move in to support. Provide Stützung or whatever. And looks like a mortar half-track on the way as well from the Kampfgruppe company. Could certainly help with all this clumped up infantry, which is generally a very bad move. Then again, of course, getting a mortar to deal with that is a good move. And Panzer Grenadiers getting out. Some of them, of course, reinforce, and then they might pop in back once more. Americans pulling away. The infantry half-track being generally a good weapon in support of other infantry. If you try to use it about like an armored car, it's only going to be doing a lot worse. Keep that in very mind. And looks like the Brits are charging in from the south. Holding out right here at this strong point with the forward backs. Defensive operations is up, which does shield troops. Panzerschreck on the Panzer Grenadiers as well. Lots from the Kampfgruppe company and the mortar moving in. Incendiary booby traps going off once more. Panzer Grenadiers finding the Brits out in the open versus troops in cover, although they do have Bren guns, but they are getting suppressed by the Gewehr 43s and charging in, riflemen with BARs, but Panzer Grenadiers with Gewehr 43s and the infantry half-track causing heavy losses as they are charging in. Absolutely amazing. And the Brits are now pulling out, and they are really blobbing up 2 lieutenants. This is absolutely blobtastic. And of course, the Panzer Elite stands their ground. Of course, that is certainly one of the keys to fighting a blob. Don't run away just like that, and of course, suppress the most damaging parts, like for example the Bren gun section with your Gewehr 43s, suppress them, and that's generally how you're going to sort of limit the effectiveness of a Panzer Grenadier blob. And of course a mortar half-track, all that can be quite of help. And looks like, oh my goodness, a machine gun emplacement going up to protect this area. Not a bad placement, except for this sort of piece of heavy cover, and say, you know, some cheeky devil with a Panzerschreck sets up, and there we go. Heavy damage, engineers burning, on fire, dying. Oh my goodness. Inferno from the half-track. Yes, indeed. And Panzerschrecks, and of course, note heavy cover provides ample protection against heavy machine gun fire. So, of course, these chaps with the Panzerschrecks are, in fact, nicely protected and can blast this machine gun emplacement to bits. And there we go. Medics burning up. Oh, my goodness. This is absolutely terrible. Machine gun emplacement going up for Brits. Clearly not the first one. In fact, you can notice right here. And awfully clumped up. Lots of Bren guns. And, of course, a mortar half-track there could do a lot of damage if they were aware. Oh my goodness. Goodness. only two Captain crafts left, and they could be laying around with more booby traps. That would certainly be nice, but no, in the north, in fact, if the American commander, and it's actually time to have a look at MalKal. But if the American commander is a bit of a clever git, he will probably try to break through here and, you know, do a lot of damage, do a lot of harassment, thus also forcing away the Panzer elite forces from the Brits, who of course are now creating a strong point right here, but of course a half-track with a mortar, and there we go. Mortar half-track from Pattonslayer, ready to bombard, and there we go. Brits holding out right next to the point are getting bombarded. This is what you call less than ecstatic. Panzer rockets hitting the machine gun emplacement, but there's simply just too much fire. Brits are on the move, and these Panzer Brigades need to get out of there in time before they are shot up. They are simply not enough. Brits moving in from all sides. And moving in now, mortar half-track in a bit of trouble. Pattonslayer, get your Panzer Grenadiers out. Wiksug. In the meanwhile, MalKal's Panzer Grenadiers are now protecting against a charge from riflemen in the north. And they're getting hit and suppressed. My goodness. The Brits continuing. The infantry half-track providing cover. And the Brits taking quite some losses right here on this route. Forced back. Albeit certainly with heavy casualties from Pattonslayer and MalKal's forces. Rifleman force continue to face off offensive veterans. In fact, these Panzer Grenadiers are getting quite veteran now. Of course, also note that Panzer Grenadiers share the veterancy. Panzer Elite units share the veterancy. So, of course, if you keep them together, they will also, in that sense, of course, you don't have to clump up. But still, within some reason, they will actually level each other up as well. So that is certainly nice. And, of course, two with veterancy and offensive veterancy, of course, makes them more accurate, makes them fire faster. So that only makes them more lethal, but the Americans are continuing. Medic station in this case is now in fact too far away to help any spot. Pattonslayer and MalKal holding this Schwerpunkt, trying to keep the British contained. Good move. And the North Americans pushing through. Panzer Grenadiers of MalKal and Pattonslayer holding it back. And laying down further booby traps. Good. And we are seeing a Panzer Support Command going up here. And a Panzer Support Command up from MalKal. And we're seeing a logistic company. I rather feel that Pattonslayer here might be going a bit over the top. I mean, it's good to have some infrastructure and all that, but you have to be careful not building too fast, otherwise you might in fact cripple yourself without actually being able to build units. So very important lesson there. In fact, this might give Normanslayer's actual force production abilities a bit of a knockback, since of course he'll be spending unit resources on a lot of buildings and possibly something coming out there. Could be an upgrade, could be a unit. But certainly quite a few Brits there, and they're still marking about, still in the face of the mortar half-track. 13 kills already, and these Panzer Grenadiers need to get, oh dearie me, under fire again. Bren gunners, lots of Bren fire, lots of everything. Even lieutenants moving in. And MalKal's Panzer Grenadiers moving around in the north. In fact, it's time to have a look at Luftwaffecommander. And oh dear, these Panzer Grenadiers won't get out there. Oh dear, that was terrible. Britons are advancing for King George. Wait, somebody asked me not to say that. For the regiment, then? For, I don't know. For Marmite, apple jam, strawberries, I don't know. Strawberry jam, there we go. Panzer Grenadiers facing off against these riflemen who are taking some losses again. Good use of heavy cover against these riflemen. The riflemen, on the other hand, are quite less successful in that. Although it looks like we are seeing grenades being used, and MalKal successfully dodges it, pulling back to the next line of cover. Panzer in the hands of the riflemen. Oh dear, Pattonslayer must have dropped a Panzer. That's only going to make these riflemen much more nasty, and we are seeing the Brits breaking through here, absolutely crumpling the lines, although they are now being forced back. But two veterans, one lieutenants, and an anti-tank half-track out from Pattonslayer. Of course, note the anti-tank half-track is actually the squad leader vehicle, or platoon leader vehicle, of a Panzer Grenadier unit, no matter if it's a reconnaissance or a regular Panzer Grenadier unit. I mean, it would have such a vehicle. Of course, the vehicle for the Panzer Grenadier would be larger, but still, there you go. Slightly important bit. And in the meanwhile, the Americans are using, of course, the confusion and the sort of utter focus, too heavy focus, I might argue, on the Brits up in the north to actually do some harassment and seize victory points there. Very clever from the American, very clever, and of course, good move. I mean, that's what Pattonslayer would have done himself when he plays as Romanslayer. He would sort of figure, well, I'm banging my head towards here, why don't I try to flank a route here and do some damage elsewhere, and thus spreading out the defenders. And that's clearly a clever move. Good move there by Luftwaffecommander. Sticky bombs on the way, Rangers on the way. Could we be seeing some, I don't know, submachine guns? Yes, indeed, increasing the firepower even further on these nasty Rangers. Going to be quite a bit of volatile firepower in those chaps. And further firepower as the Brits are moving forward, perhaps hoping to ensure that this forward barracks and artillery could be officer artillery, meaning of course the Brits have gone for artillery doctrine. That would be very nasty. Panzer Grenadiers under heavy fire. Mortar half-track firing away with glee. The Brits are blobbing away, although looks like they have a support trunk up. And oh dear, that was some pretty heavy losses for the Brits.
Engineer unit lost.
Can't say how many they've lost. Oh, looks like a team was replaced fully. Good move. Certainly always nice to have these things. And a team has also been replaced of riflemen. Good usage there. Mines break down by Luftwaffecommander. Nice move. And looks like the Panzer Grenadiers moving in north, half-track ready. And of course, there's a good move, you know, swiftly moving about troops wherever they are needed. I mean, that's really the advantage of the half-tracks. Partly, of course, they can provide fire support for your troops, but also the mobility it can grant you. Quickly reacting to, you know, threats that might appear everywhere. And rather than getting shot up by the Gewehr 43, spear yards trying to respond, but they are just not enough, and no grenades. Apparently, riflemen need to retreat. And incendiary grenade right here. Oh, incendiary rounds. These troops need to get away, run away. Breakthrough attempts at all lines. Sappers getting shot up. Why are they getting shot up? Retreat, MG, or market garden chat, whatever. Just get away. And now Rangers are flanking this Panzer Grenadier position. Clever move, forcing a complete collapse. Rangers driving lots of automatic weapons, gunning down the Panzer Grenadiers, but the Panzer Grenadiers make it out of there relatively intact. And a Panzer IV from Pattonslayer, although it was a rather old one. It must be on the loan from the Panzer Replacement Battalion of the Hermann Göring Division, which wasn't actually with the division, but was somewhere in Holland area, France. So interestingly enough there. Although of course bazookas and sticky bombs could prove to be a bit of a problem, but the Panzer IV gets out of there in safety. This is good. Panzer IV-G, I believe. Or was it the Panzer IV F1? Oh dear, I can't remember. There's a bit of problems with the nomenclature right there. But these Panzer Grenadiers need to get away, getting simply swarmed by automatic weapon troops. Infantry half-track doing its best to provide cover, but the Panzer Grenadiers are absolutely steamrolled. British pulling back in the face of this onslaught. The lieutenants lagging a bit behind. Infantry half-track getting away, and flak feelings from the base actually catch a few riflemen while the mortars do the rest. 21 kills, my goodness. And the Panzer IV advances for Vaterland. And a 17-pounder gun is up to provide protection. This is nice to see, but they're doing a very bad mistake here. Laying down a building right in the sight of enemy fire. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be a mortar spot. Yes, indeed, a mortar target. 3 infantry teams. How many will survive this, I wager? Quite some losses. And one thing to note, troops take much more damage and are easier to damage while they're building. One team lost. Oh dear, another team could be lost. Oh no. Well, one team was lost, that's for sure. That was not a good moment. No, he's running into the fire again. Oh dear, that was stupid. Ken Grant continues to lay down booby traps. Man tries to push from the north. Booby traps going off there as well. Booby traps everywhere. Panzer IV advances, but running straight into the 17-pounder gun. Apparently Pattonslayer has a bit of a memory problem. Apparently not remembering there's a bloody 17-pounder gun there. One of the most devastatingly powerful anti-tank weapons in the war, besides stuff like the Flak 88 and of course its pack version, the Pak 44. Was it the Pak 33? Can't remember. Still quite a nasty anti-tank gun, but still 17-pounder, very dangerous, high penetration. Of course, it was also a pretty huge gun, so it wasn't actually easy to move about by infantry, which is rather why it's as an emplacement. Americans moving through in the north and charging out the Panzer Grenadiers right there, trying to secure the center. And actually, it's time to have a look at. Oh wait, accidentally turned on the fog of war. My apologies, but it's time to have a look at MG. Still has some infantry left, though he did suffer nastily right there. That was pretty sad. Medics pulling in the wounded, though, could mean a fresh team. And the Panzer Grenadiers are forcing away the forces of MalKal or in the center. Grenades going off the Panzer Grenadiers. Oh dear, this is not looking good. Although looks like MalKal has an armored car ready. Further support from other units. Although looks like American Rangers are pushing through in the north. No, they're moving away. They're not deciding to seize as much territory. They're moving in to do damage here. Armored car under heavy fire could be lost. Oh dear, no, it just makes it out of there. While Pattonslayer's Panzer Grenadiers with assault rifles provide quite a bit of firepower, and he has increased squad sizes and then proceeds to run through this gauntlet of doom. That was quite less than fortunate. Rangers exhausted, and swift counter-attack might be needed. And Pattonslayer getting his own armoured cars. In fact, his awful buildings. That's absolutely nuts. Panzer Grenadiers repairing as much. Panzer 4 getting repaired by other Panzer Grenadiers. Rangers are advancing, armoured car moving forwards ever slowly, but running into Rangers with bazookas, taking a direct hit. Oh dear! And the Rangers do not give up. Heavily equipped with bazookas, they are ready to show those crats who's the boss, although they might suffer some losses in the process. Now the Panzer Grenadiers are moving in, give AR-43 in hand, some with offensive veterancy, but Rangers arrived in counter-attack, even some Rangers with veterancy. Oh dear! Grenades getting lobbed. Panzer Grenadiers are in fact taking very little losses. This was a very good assault, and the Rangers are running away due to the ample firepower provided by the armoured cars, and of course the give AR-43 equipped. Panzer Grenadiers riflemen getting suppressed. Luftwaffecommander's forces not doing well. Grenade right at the path of the Panzer Grenadiers. Good move, killing one Panzer Grenadier though. Engineers have secured the northern point. Are forced to retreat. Centre being secured by the Brits, who are no longer penned in there due to the emplacements finally doing something for them. My goodness. And we are seeing Panzer Grenadiers charging in. MalKal going up against the Luftwaffecommander. The Panzer Grenadiers of the 107th Panzer Brigade firing away. Incendiary grenades getting lobbed. Riflemen slightly catching on fire, actually taking some damage and being forced away by the Panzer Grenadier. Absolutely amazing. And looks like the Brits are doing their best to lay down more emplacements here. Machine gun emplacement going up, down, sideways, whatever words. And a light anti-tank half-track also moving in to support this rather heavily mechanized force of Pattonslayer, who's now getting assault grenadiers as well. Really going heavy with the infantry and all that, but he's got some half-track as well, some infantry half-tracks, which is actually still alive. Amazingly enough, that's actually a bit of a rarity, but certainly nice to see. It's a good weapon, I'd say.
Overwatch abilities have been passed down the line.
And there we go, Overwatch abilities, and we are seeing a 25-pounder gun. This could in fact be used to provide Overwatch, and of course what is Overwatch? That is basically airburst shells that fire where the enemy moves in. And Panthers have arrived, the 107th Panzer Brigade, and they were in fact equipped with Panzers and equipped with the Panzer 70 Panzer 4-70, either A or V, that is the Jagdpanzer 4 with the Panther gun. They're in fact also upgraded, equipped with those for some reason. But there we go, Panthers are ready, opening up on the British positions. We're trying to lay down another 17-pounder gun. Half-tracks firing away, Panzer Grenadiers, armored car, machine gun emplacements are pressing the Panzer Grenadiers. Artillery getting called in, pinning down and damaging, killing. Panthers firing away at the Vickers machine gun emplacement. Rangers moving forwards, ever exhausted. Kettenkrad in the way, my goodness. And this anti-tank half-track could get knocked out. Panzer 4 providing covering fire. And looks like the Kettenkrad was knocked out in the north. And the Rangers are forced away. The Panthers proving too much. Rangers setting off a booby trap right there in the north, but just moving away to the other spots, so of course it won't hit them. Good move there. Half-track moving in to flank the 17-pounder gun with its Panzerschreck. Excellent movement. I do believe it's time to return to Pattonslayer, in fact. But Payats are going off on the infantry half-track. Half-track needs to get away. And there we go, airburst shells hitting the Panzer Grenadiers. Oh dear, pinning, killing, doing damage to the armored forces. Another Panzer Grenadier goes down, but the riflemen are doing so as well. And another airburst shell. Of course, the Germans had them as well, but this is apparently just designed to be for the Brits. Damaging quite a bit right there. And the anti-tank half-track gets knocked down by an airburst shell. Quite unfortunate. But it is returned to the mid-game. Analysis says indeed, it is time. We are halfway through the game. Already quite a bit of action, quite a bit of, well, in fact, a bit more variety from the Panzer Elite, which is certainly nice to see. Not just the usual, let's get a lot of Panzer Grenades and block them up, although there certainly are some, but still you are going to need some in general. On the other hand, of course, the Brits are taking a much more passive approach, but then again, that's due to heavy infantry losses, due to, well, not the best unit management, too much blobbing, which has now been punished severely, which is good. The American, on the other hand, doing well in breaking through, but at the same time, as you've now noticed, he's taken quite a few losses, as he's in fact doing most of the fighting, of course, since the British have been rather left to their own devices and penned in. That's quite a problem, and this is certainly going to haunt the American commander in the longer run as he's continuing getting ground down. He does have a supply it up, and he's clearly getting a tank depot now, so of course he might be hoping to break through in other means, but there are certainly cracks beginning to appear in the Allied defences as the 107th Panzer Brigade moves forward. And a Jagdpanther, meaning that Pattonslayer has gone for tank destroy. Jagdpanther, based on the Panzer 5th Panzer, equipped with a high velocity flak 88 or pack, well, 88mm gun, whatever. So that's certainly going to provide quite a bit of ample firepower against infantry and armour, and generally just be a huge target. Of course, absorb a lot of fire as well. So not quite an effective vehicle, though not produced in huge numbers. So of course this might certainly help, and of course the armour, of course all that, but of course the British might be able to get off some sort of defensive line here, and of course otherwise, I mean, they are doing good now and actually ignoring the British and really putting the pressure on the American, hoping for either player to actually buckle, thus leaving the other one much more exposed and easier to deal with. Although again, I'm a bit worried about this sort of heavy building everything by Pattonslayer. On the other hand, MalKal is doing alright as well. So in fact, let's return to it. Yes, I know nothing hugely expensive, but of course the Allies need to get a bit more aggressive. The Brits actually need to get some armour on the field, perhaps so do the Americans. They need to sort of take the fight to those Panthers and generally be able to do some damage. And of course, keep pushing through here, keep spreading out the Panzer Elite. Don't allow them to focus. That's really their strength is. But let's return to the fight. Panzer Grenadiers retreating, others moving forwards. Jagdpanther on the move, linking up with the rest, and there we go. Further airburst shells keep killing stuff. Panzer Grenadiers booby trapping the victory point. Panthers moving about in the north. And moving a oh, getting sticky bomb. That was quite unfortunate. Damaged engine. Engineers with a Piat. Certainly a bit of a rarity coming under fire from Panther and Armoured Car Panzer IV advancing, though right into the airburst area, and there we go. Taking damage, although the Panzer IV is much more able to withstand this. Armoured Car not quite as much, and our Brits are moving in. And the Jagdpanther opens up as well now. A mine is hit by the Panther, doing more damage to the engine. Oh dear. And those airburst shells that Overwatch just keeps blasting away. Panzer Grenadiers awfully close. Want to be careful. Otherwise, there's going to be mixed Panzer Grenadiers on the menu. Ever so quiet at the moment, in fact. A bit of brief quietude. And of course, Rumslayer rather divining, or Pattonslayer divining what is needed. Of course, take off the pressure from the north, attack the bases, thus forcing away the one player, thus leaving things a bit easier for the other one to handle in the north. Good move there, good thought. Nice to see some strategy in a strategy game. And oh dear, these Americans are too clumped up, but they're retreating rather swiftly. Rangers though keep charging in, and a German in support. Though it misses and takes a Panzer right to the front. And it's not firing on the Panzer Grenadiers, which are also awfully clumped up. There we go. Armoured Car lost. Panthers opening up. Jagdpanther holding the north. 2 killed so far. Sherman deciding to get away. And a biggest machine gun emplacement going up to provide support. Although it's not pointing in the best position, I might argue. And there we go. 1 shot, 2 Panzer Grenadiers. 17-pounder gun up. Oh dear, these Jagdpanthers could be in a bit of trouble. Jagdpanther taking hits from the 17-pounder gun. Oh dear. Brits moving forwards. Machine gun emplacement cancelled. And the Jagdpanther taking actually quite a bit of damage. Its shield's not quite able to do enough damage to the emplacement. Brits advancing, scouting out, and we are seeing booby trap going off. The Brits are quickly retreating. Artillery going in right there. All the Panther forces, my goodness. And the Jagdpanther just keeps getting hit. But it finally pulls away from the reach of the 17th pounder. Although it looks like the Americans are moving in for a swift assault from the side. Oh goodness gracious. Bazookas on the... oh dear, the Kettenkrad going out, trying to repair. And of course Kettenkrads with tank destroyer doctrine can repair, although it's not the best. Sticky bomb on the Jagdpanther. They're really hoping to knock it out, but the Americans simply taking too much heavy fire themselves. Panzer IV and Jagdpanther keep raking up the kills. Now artillery as well. And the Sherman trying to do something, but it's taking a bit too much damage. Jagdpanther not in good condition. And artillery moving in, slaughtering Panzer Grenadiers in drove. There's a huge pile of corpses. Oh, the inhumanity. That was absolutely incredible. Once I don't know how many Panzer Grenadiers are there, but that's a lot. That was pretty much most of MalKal's forces, and I wonder if he actually got the upgrade for Panzer Grenadiers to repair faster, then he wouldn't have to clumped up. But oh dear, horrible, horrible, the inhumanity, the carnage. And of course, I'm pretty sure the artillery commander's going, well, hey, I got some Jerry's right there, mate. Bastard. But it looks like they are putting themselves together. The Allied forces, more emplacements going down, ready to stop any Jerry advances. The 107th Panzer Brigade has been ground down a bit, having lost quite a few Panzer Grenadiers. Only Pattonslayer really have the mobility now and the forces to really support an assault. Clearly Mr. MalKal will for the moment have to take a much more defensive approach, considering he only has a bit of armor with no real support to provide them. Very little infantry, although I'm pretty sure he's at least going to be getting some replacement troops right away. And there we go, lots of heavy assault grenadiers. Americans once more on the move, and we are seeing scorched earth to some support artillery right there. I can't remember the name for it. And there we go, more assault grenadiers. And there we go, sector artillery. Brits are moving forward with American support. My goodness. And moving in from the north, the Rangers, the riflemen. The Jagd Panther getting away, not quite keen on getting artillery, or at least watching it getting covered in the bits of its dead comrades. Rangers are charging in. Oh dear, this armored car could take some damage right there. Grenades getting knocked out. The Panzer Grenadiers. Oh dear, the riflemen and the Rangers are taking losses, but they're continuing at it. Machine gun upgrade on the Panzer IV. Rangers, riflemen dying, but they're not giving up. And the Panzer IV goes down. Oh dear, and the veterancy 2 for the Rangers. Mortar rounds. Death. Oh dearie me. But others are moving in to clear up this mess. That was absolutely insane. And another 25-pounder gun going up for the British. They're really laying it in with the support, but really again they are sort of lacking in the offensive bits, the more mobile bits, and of course that will mean that the American will be taking most of the losses in this fight, and of course mean eventually he'll be unhelpful for fighting. Panzer Grenadiers making a charge at the 17-pounder gun. Assault rifles blazing, but they're not quite effective. They need something like anti-tank grenades, but are apparently lacking in that effect. Jagd Panther almost ready, fully repaired. And now the American forces are moving in once more. This German still alive, opening up, forcing the Panzer Grenadiers away. And there we go, anti-tank grenade on the 17-pounder gun, clearing out the crew. 50 cal machine gun. Rangers leading the way for the 3rd Armored Division. Scout cars now ready for MalKal, apparently hoping for more resources, perhaps more munitions for his sector artilleries. And this point absolutely getting hammered by 25-pounder guns. Absolutely unbelievable. Well, it is believable, just terrifying. Panthers moving about, trying their best to provide protection. Keep it safe while perhaps Mr. Pattonslayer is getting ready for an assault somewhere. The Brits and Allies making ready. Well, the Allies in general. Veterancy 2 lieutenants. Some with a Bren gun. My goodness, this is Lieutenant Nasty with a Bren gun, and the other lieutenant with veterancy 2. And it's Panthers under fire. Rangers moving forwards with bazookas. Some veterancy 2. BARs left behind. Germans trying what they can. Jagd Panther providing further support. 8 killed so far, and hit by artillery. Oh dear. And now it just keeps raining in a shower of shells. The Panzer Grenadiers try to move about. The only thing that really would have been even worse is if the Americans would then proceed to attack with all of this chaos, but thankfully they're not. And the infantry section trying to take a point right now in the middle of everything, needs to retreat before it's lost. Oh dear, the Jagd Panther finally got the word, knocking out, and another 17-pounder gun. They're really getting ready to protect this spot. And I do believe we are in fact seeing what some might have in earlier times called the Sim City, which was basically building a lot of emplacements, thus really not having to fight at all. This was heavily nerfed later on, as that was actually realized that was actually pretty damn stupid. You might still see it from time to time. In fact, you're seeing it here. So of course, question is, how will the force of the 107th Panzer Brigade deal with this blockade of British guns? This tiny Maginot Line. And of course we'll probably learn why, you know, the Maginot Line failed, just like this will. And Americans moving in from the north, but sector artillery blasting them with shells. And looks like the Vickers machine gun emplacement might go down to the Jagdpanther. The Panzer Brigade is trying to take the point. And the Vickers machine gun is gone. And artillery getting called in. Rangers trying to knock out the Panther, but they're not having any luck. Riflemen with Panzer need to retreat. Oh, they're getting absolutely torn apart, chewed up. And the Brits and Americans advancing through the center once more. The Sherman still alive by all accounts. Quite rare, considering there's so many Panthers and Jagdpanthers, but he certainly knows what he's doing, except upgrading the main gun and keeping his troops sufficiently alive. And, you know, pressing through here. They've used to push attack here, but now they've actually forgotten it. They are now just focusing right here, crashing their head against the wall. That was absolutely tragic. Instead of, you know, continuing the work here, really making it a mess, and again forcing them to spread their defenses. Artillery keeps blasting away at the Panzer Elite forces of the 107th Panzer Brigade. Troops getting reinforced, troops getting trained. I do believe it's time for Luftwaffecommander again, who is rather lacking in infantry. Most of it has in fact been killed. He is now getting a off-map combat group, rifleman, heavy machine gun, and a tank destroyer. There's also some mortars. Whatever shall the Axis do? This is quite unfortunate. The British defenders are certainly putting a bit too much, but then again the British are themselves also getting ground down with what little infantry they have, because again they can't really do much either. They are now rather tragically and sadly locked into a very small position, which of course is sort of bypassed, will rather mean they can't do much. Riflemen coming out here from Panthers. Panthers do only efficiency 1. In some cases they don't have any sort of, and that's all defensive. Mortars opening up, no smoke, and looks like they've disabled the victory point. Absolutely sneaky. They just decided to disable it, thus creating a stalemate, in fact. Not a bad idea. And good, you know, good communication, deciding we need some artillery, damn it. And looks like Slayer might have something in mind. Looks like he's gathering up. He's even got headsers. Headsers were about the time of September, and which could suppose, or was it October? Well, it's certainly later on the 1944 for the Western Front. For the Eastern Front, it was actually a lot earlier. So no, we could also just imagine it's there to sort of look like a Stug 3, but still, Hetzer Jagdpanzer. Of course, it was also sort of imagined earlier as a Sturmgeschütz, but was due to jurisdictional problems. Oh my goodness! That was quite a few Rangers that went kablooey there. I have absolutely no idea what did that. Could it be sector artillery? Or no, it's not a Hummel. Well, then I have absolutely no idea, except it's sector artillery. Was certainly devastating. Rangers certainly died in a nasty manner. Yes, there we go, sector artillery. Quite devastating, and again I can't really escape the feeling that Panzer is getting ready for an assault. There you go. Achtung, Achtung, Panzermarsch. Going now while I have cover. Yes, indeed, using the sector artillery to cover his advance. That's a clever move, and he's basically asking his much less mobile opponent to sort of hold the center while I make a dashing and glorious assault for the fatherland. Good coordination, good explaining of what you want to do. I mean, that's very important, you know. I want to do this, so you know I can do it successfully. Artillery getting called in, Jagdpanther and Panzer IV and Hetzer. This is certainly quite a bit of mechanized force. Certainly the Panzer Brigade's glorious assault on the American base. Will it succeed? We'll find out. Artillery trying to stop it. Ooh, there's a bazooka left behind. That of course could be picked up. Waiting cautiously. And there we go, barrage is ended. Once more moving forwards, the American commander is a bit lacking in forces to stop this, to halt the advance. Supply yet up, thus immediately decreasing the bonuses it gave. So upkeep has in fact greatly increased once more, meaning he's actually getting a lot less manpower than he normally would. Jagdpanther advancing, and the machine gun emplacement might soon go down there. Center alright, and again here's another problem again with the sort of SimCity approach, and he's constantly building emplacements, but he can't help his teammate. His teammate is in a lot of trouble as Pattonslayer charges in, but he can't do anything. He cannot help. And again, that's really the sort of main problem, also why I want, you know, to be careful about support approaches. I mean, it really comes down to all of this. you can't support your teammate if he really needs it, and that's really what Pattonslayer is really going for. And the M10 out. I'll bet you that Sherman is soon going to be out as well. Bazooka and Panzer going on at it. Sticky bombs on their heads, or was it the Yak Panther? I'm not sure. But they are certainly raking up the kills, at least the Yak Panther. Panzer 4 blasting away as well. High explosive shells. Panzer grenades might move into support. Riflemen getting massacred. And the Panther has arrived as well, providing a bit of support there. Riflemen and Rangers getting torn to shreds, getting mulched up. The American forces of the 3rd Armored Division are no more. And of course, sadly, he didn't get much out of his tank depot. That was a bit of a waste there. And the big heavy machine gun trying to break cover, getting shot up. Panther and Yak Panther. Heads are even. But apparently they can't hit, and the heads is actually getting hit there by some shots there. Panzer Grenadiers with bazookas and Panzer Six trying to knock out, but forced away by mortar fire. And the heavy machine gun almost down. Yak Panther pulling away. In the center, not much going on, but looks like, yes indeed, Hummels are getting ready. Hummels schwerer self-beleidete artillery. Oh, I can't remember it still. Panzer Artillery, armored artillery, equipped with one of the heaviest guns in the German army, the 150mm schwerer howitzer. Oh, I can't remember. Oh dear, my apologies. It was also, I believe, nicknamed Immergrün. That is Evergreen. And blasting away. Riflemen getting torn to bits. Another hetzer arriving. The American base is deeply in peril, and now flanking through here in the north again. There's absolutely nothing to cover this stretch. And now the Hummels are blasting away with their heavy artillery on the British positions right here in the center. Oh, bloody hell, an entire team was lost there. And the 17-pounder might go down soon as well. Panther moving about, there we go. And of course trying to move about, but again they can't help fighting in a mobile war. Absolutely insane. Another Hummel getting repaired, having taken some damage, but this position is now falling apart. American base also doing so. Artillery getting called in a desperate attempt to stop this, to salvage the situation. Brits running away, having tried to save something, but it's absolute chaos now. The 107th Panzer Brigade has achieved breakthrough. The entire thing is crumbling faster than a cardboard house in a storm of Panzer steel. Yes, indeed. And the Panther just keeps going around like an evil armored merry-go-round, constantly forcing the 17-pounder to try and chase it, but it is simply not enough. The Panther keeps moving. Veterans 2, defensive Veterans 2, although now there's a lot of Rangers and Riflemen moving after it. This could end up less spectacularly. And calling in a priest. There's no priest that will save you, neither self-propelled or an actual priest. You are dead, my friend. And he can't even give you the final rites, as he's blown apart by the Panzer Might of the 107th. Yes, indeed. Achtung, Achtung, Panzer. Yeah. And clearing out the remains of the American base. In the center, absolute chaos, pandemonium, anarchy, as the howitzers keep firing away, getting counter-artillery, but it's simply not enough. Well, it might be enough, partially, but still. The British defense is getting shattered. Americans trying to move in, but getting shot up by Panzer Grenadiers and armored cars, sticky bombing and damaging the Hummel. No idea why I chose offensive veterancy. It doesn't really help. Only defensive really does in this case. But there you go. And the Riflemen trying to charge in, but they're getting... Oh my goodness, more artillery! That was probably sector artillery, which slaughtered his own Panzer Grenadiers. It's an absolute artillery madness fight, but still actually contains some good attempts at mobility, and of course showing how you can defeat something like, say, the ever-dreaded Sim City, or well, less dreaded than previously. Riflemen getting shattered. And Riflemen losing it on the way back, my goodness. And further heavy losses. Pattonslayer just keeps slaying those Pattons. And artillery just keeps blasting away. This is pretty much game over. Yak Panther with 19 kills hits us with 7 and 2 and 5 kills with this Panzer 4. Headquarters has collapsed, meaning there can't be no further call-ins. In fact, you can only call in engineers, and currently that's a very bad idea. And there we go, Luftwaffecommander, rather realizing he has lost, runs away. Ever so bravely, losing the rest of his riflemen. Further Panzer force moving in. Riflemen getting absolutely torn to bits. This is pretty much game over. I doubt MG or Market Garden chat will make it much longer. Let us just speed this up, this apocalypse of the Allied forces. And there we go, heads us Panzer 4. And simply clearing up the rest. And there we go, game over. Victory for the 107th Panzer Brigade. Victory, Sieg. Yes, indeed. The combined forces of, well, at least group combined of some elements from the 3rd Armored Division and the 51st Infantry Division were lost in this fight, absolutely shattered. And of course, what are the lessons of this game? I mean, one of them, of course, don't make yourself too static. I mean, that was really the main problem with the Blitz, besides, you know, first blobbing up, then going to static. I mean, it really limited the amount of, you know, greater effect on the larger battlefield, which rather resulted in him being sort of contained and made less useful, which then, when the time finally came, he couldn't support his teammate at his most important time when he really needed it. And of course, that allowed Pattonslayer to pretty much just punch Luftwaffecommander's face in. Of course, Luftwaffecommander definitely should have been more aggressive right here. And of course, you know, shifting the angle of attack to somewhere where there's less defenses, of course, is the key to go. That is what really Pattonslayer, aka Rumslayer, aka Monty's friend, is really good at. He knows when to sort of shift the line of attack and, you know, try to go for somewhere else. And of course, there was good coordination. I mean, at least, you know, telling, I'm doing this, why don't you try doing this, so we, you know, can get victory. Good move right there. That's certainly what I like to see in a team game. Very good. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, why not subscribe and tell your friends, and if you didn't, well, why not send in a replay of your own. This is Imperial Dancing. Cheers.